Today we're here at Morgan State University. We have author, poet, professor, film director, hip hop artist MK Asante. How you doing today?
Hey, what's up, man? Thanks for having me, man. Thanks for making it. I know it was, it's
a little rough, but
out here today, man. But I'm glad you came, man.
Man, I really appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Let's jump right into the book Buck, man. What was the inspiration behind the memoir Buck?
Buck, I wrote it for all my young bucks, man. I wanted to inspire people. I wanted to share my journey with people. I knew they would gain inspiration from it, gain wisdom from it, and I wanted to write a story that was missing. That's what I do. I'm a void filler. So I wanted to write a book that I wanted to read that didn't exist. You know what I'm saying? And that's Buck. I'm making the music that I want to hear that doesn't exist. I'm making the movies that I want to see that don't exist. I'm filling those voids. You know what I'm saying?
What does Buck mean to you?
Young buck, buck wild, buck shots, buck town, slave buck, black buck, make buck, buck now. How did I get this? I was relentless, commas and mentions, bottomless pensions, uptown killer Dell riding with henchmen, or down Puerto Rican land copping the system. G-Town 9-8, me and my mother. And mother, the cops, they knocked my brother. He stayed rolling it 23-1, telling the time by the shot. Buck just means, the graceful survival against impossible circumstances, man. It represents so many different aspects of my life, of black life, of American life, of earth life, So when I say young buck, buck wild, buck shots, buck town, or, slave buck, black buck, make buck, buck now. When I say buck fitty, some people know what buck fitty is, what I'm saying? Some people know what buck naked is, writing a memoir is being buck naked in a lot of ways because it makes you vulnerable, people can see everything, you're exposed, but yeah, buck for me is a way of life.
And I've heard you talk about before. It takes place in a certain time period of your life,
yeah,
when you were in your teenage years.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you talked about in the book Buck, talking about Buck, was the blank page. Explain the blank page and how it was an inspiration to your life.
Blank page saved me. America enraged me. Then that bitch paid me. New slaves, old slavery. My grandma told me the streets far from holy. Now I'm lonely. My homies' bodies is holy. The blank page was the catalyst for me. That was the spark that, set everything off. So it saved my life, It gave me purpose, direction, and it was a metaphor for me, It was a metaphor for you. It was a metaphor for you. I'm saying? We are all blank pages, So every day we have an opportunity, a chance to.
How do you feel about the school system today? As far as where they're teaching in schools for the young people.
I mean, for the most, gotta kind of depend on what school system you're talking about. But
okay.
the large public school systems in most of the urban environments, a lot of them are feeding young people right into the prison system. School to prison pipeline is definitely real. It's happening in Philly and Baltimore, all the urban meccas. So, we need a revolution. And when I say revolution, I'm not really necessarily talking about like a romantic version of revolution, but I'm just talking about we need revolutionary ideas, that can replace the bullshit that's there now, Right now it's set up for people to just be obedient workers or to go to prison, But it's not teaching them how to critically think or analyze situations or how to design their own reality. That's really why I wrote Buck. Buck is my journey of how I created my own reality, how I designed my life. And, young people need to learn those kind of skills and tools, so that they can be inventors and creators and innovators in their fields. That's what we need as a nation. We need innovators. We need creativity. We need innovation. We need people with new ideas, fresh ideas, new ways of thinking, new ways of being, new ways of seeing. I should put that in the rhyme. New ways of being, new ways of seeing. You know what I'm saying?
You know what's interesting? I heard you do a poem, 2 sets of notes.
Word.
And what was so interesting about it, because last weekend I went to the Justice of Else in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
And I had a chance to speak with a Native American talking about the school system and what his nephew had to learn about Christopher Columbus and the lies that they were saying in the book. How it didn't really talk about how they were killing their people. And it was interesting how you did a poem called Two Sets of Notes, where you had one for the class and one for reality.
Exactly.
Can you explain that?
Yeah, I mean, two sets of notes, I just say, that's why I take two sets of notes. One set to ace the test, the other set I call the truth. And when I find historical contradictions, I use that first set as proof. Proof that black youth's minds are being polluted and convoluted and diluted and not culturally rooted in anything except the Western massacre. That's why most of us in school, we were scared of Africa. We viewed our mother's land through the eyes of racists like David Hume and Immanuel Kant. Not knowing Immanuel Kant tell me shit about a land he's never seen, a land rich with history, beautiful kings and queens. But they had us believe otherwise. The history they taught built on high-rise lies. They didn't teach me that the pyramids were completed before Greece and Rome were conceptualized. Then they try to claim the Egyptians' race was a mystery, and I used to believe them until I read Herodotus, book 2 of the histories. Can it be any clearer? Black students, look in the mirror. We are a reflection of divinity. Don't let them fool you with selective memory. Walk high, listen to the elders who spoke. Black students, all students, always take two sets of notes. So two sets of notes is basically just like, yo, the school's not teaching you, the school's not going to teach you. Don't depend on them to teach you the real shit. Just don't. If you do, then you'll be fucked. So you gotta, you have to not be dependent on them. At the same time, it's a complicated situation, right? Because you gotta pass the test, you gotta get your degree, you gotta move on with your life. You know what I'm saying? You gotta get a job. So you need that system, right? Because you're trying to advance your life and elevate your financial situation. But at the same time, it's some bullshit. So how do you deal with it? You take two sets of notes. You know what I'm saying? One set to ace the test, and keep that other set that is the truth. And at some point, you'd be able to, extrapolate on that truth. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Now, one of the things that you had along with the book, Buck, the memoir, you also had a mixtape soundtrack.
Yeah.
What was the inspiration behind that? Okay, we're back with MK Asante.
So we're back talking about the soundtrack. I wanted to do something unprecedented, something no one's ever done before, take it to another level. So I translated the literary work into music, which is a universal language, you know what I mean? And as I was writing Buck, I had so many ideas, just hip-hop wise and lyrical ideas. And Buck really inspired me to write music. And then Kweli and Razkaz reached out to me, got me on a song, came and recruited me into the game. Next thing I know, boom, 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 boom. A year later, I'm on the new Ninth Wonder Talib Kweli project called Indy 500, which I'm real excited about. Comes out November 6th. Pre-order that. Indy 500, Rhapsody, Ninth Wonder, Halo, myself, Nico Is, Jessica Caramore, whole bunch, Talib obviously, a whole bunch of dope people on there. I'm just excited and happy to be a part of that family, and make music. And I want to do something, like I said, that hasn't been done before, I'm a writer, In
my opinion, I've heard it.
Word.
In my opinion, I truly feel it's a classic.
Thank you.
A lot of great music and messages on there. And two in particular I want to talk about. You dedicated a song to your son.
Yeah.
Wonderful Legacy Asante.
Yeah.
And you talked about on there how you learn you can live a lifetime in a weekend. Explain that whole process dealing with that.
Yeah, well, it's deep, man. My son Wonderful passed away last year, made a transition. He had something called anencephaly, and that was a transformational moment for me. He passed away on my chest, and I talk about that story on the soundtrack, and, it came at a very interesting time. I mean, I was making the soundtrack as Wonderful during all this, so it was all, being in the studio and then, dealing with the reality of Wonderful and then him being born and then him passing away. It made me rethink what I think about death, It made me explore notions of birthlessness, which are the idea that no one's even born or no one dies. It's just a continuum, you know what I'm saying? Matter can't be destroyed or created. We don't die, we're not born, we just continue to exist in different forms and different realms. And so it made me think a lot about everything, man. But I definitely, I wanted to name him Wonderful because I wanted to celebrate life. I didn't want people to think depressed, be depressed about it or think negatively about it, it's a celebration of life. However long you're here for, let's celebrate it, you know. So it really changed my whole view, and it made me think about quality over quantity. You know, you could know somebody for 50 years and they could contribute nothing to your life. You could know somebody 1 week and they could change your whole life for the better. So, you know, it's not about quantity, it's about quality.
Also on the soundtrack, you had a chance to work with Maya Angelou.
Yeah.
Talk about that, because you talk about when you learn, teach, when you give, no, when you get, give.
Learn, teach. That was her philosophy, you know. Learn, teach, get, give, you know. Which is just beautiful, you know what I mean? She was all about, you know, giving back, and she definitely gave back to me. She helped me out at a time when I most needed it, and was just a great mentor, you know. So that song, My Victory, I recorded her doing that poem in 2007 in her home. She did that poem for a movie that we worked on together called The Black Candle. Yeah, and so when I was, you know, making the soundtrack, I came across that footage and I said, man, I gotta put this and make a way. And then we, you know, me and my engineer Val, shout out to Val Hicks, we worked on kind of getting that, setting that in there. And also shout out to Mike King, who also helped with that. So, you know, yeah, you know, she was my mentor, and it was great to do a song with her. Two new ancestors, really, because Dilla is the producer. So it's like, you know, Dilla and Dr. Angelo, you know what I'm saying? It was a pleasure to bring them together.
I really appreciate your time today, you know, to talk about Buck and also the soundtrack. Also, I just want people to know you became a professor at 23 years old,
yeah.
tenured at 26.
Yeah, crazy, right?
Here at Morgan State University.
Morgan, shout out to Morgan State University.
What was that process like?
President Wilson.
What was that process like?
You know, it's interesting, man. I feel like such an OG now because it's been a while, you know, young OG. But, and when they see me around here, they still think I'm a student. But, you know, the process, man, was interesting. It involved a lot of sleepless nights. It involved a lot of commitment and belief in myself, you know, even when certain people said, oh no, you can't do this or you can't do that, or that's not the way it works, young man. Gotta just know and have that inner confidence and that inner strength. So, you know, but it was a beautiful process, and I'm really thankful that I'm at a place like Morgan that supports my vision, understands what I'm doing in the world, and is, you know, totally behind me, you know. It feels good to be at a HBCU that reps me the way that they do, and I rep them too. So.
Last question, because I know you got to get off the class.
Yeah, it's all good.
What would you like for your readers to take away from Buck?
I would like them to take away kind of, you know, I want my readers to understand my story, my journey, but through that, understand their own story, their own journey. You know what I mean? Understand that, you know, yes, through struggle is how we progress. You know what I mean? That's the way we do it. I want them to understand that to make an observation is to have an obligation, to transform those observations into obligations, you know. I want people to walk away from my work with a greater sense of themselves. I want people to walk away from my work with a greater sense and understanding of my people, my culture. I want people to see my work, see what I'm doing, and get inspired to do even more than I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? To take it to the whole next level. Like, okay, I see MK, but this is what I'm about to do. You know what I'm saying? I want people to see my story, hear my story, and be inspired to tell their own story. You know what I mean? I know my story is pretty cool. You know, the fall in Philadelphia, outside is the color of cornbread and blood. But what about your story? You know what I mean? What about your story? What about your story? Like, I know I'm not the only one with a story. I know I'm not the only one that's been through some Buck shit. So I wanna hear everyone else's story, and I want my work to unlock your work. You know what I mean? And then we just have a chain effect, and then everybody just be shining.
It could be such an eye opener for young people as well, because just to hear your story, how you were expelled from all these different schools,
yeah.
and finally, once you got into the alternative school,
Yeah.
the bright light opened up for you with Blank Page.
Yeah,
And
that's why I say.
today you're a professor.
You know what I'm saying? That's why I say G-Town 9-8, me and my mother. And mother up the cops, they knocked my brother. He stayed roting at 23-1, telling the time by the shadows of the sun. My sis in psych ward, she seeing neighbors, and I stay suspended. Thug life behavior, no savior, just danger. Pop's gone, so now I got the banger. Man of the house, from North Philly to South. Anyway, so yeah, check out the soundtrack, y'all. You see, I got bars.
The soundtrack
I can't stop rapping.
is ridiculous. I believe it's going to be talked about from years to come.
Yeah, I'm hoping so, man. I think people still sleep.
And they can download it for free.
It's free, man. You know, people still sleep, but it's cool. They sleep on everybody. You know what I'm saying? So they sleeping on the music. I feel like when Kanye spit for Jay-Z that time, he was like Miracle Whips. That's pretty much where I feel like I'm at in hip hop. Like people are still like, oh, because people still see me as the writer, you know, the professor. You know what I'm saying? So they're not. Like, it takes a minute to like click, like, yo, damn, he's killing it. Like, you know, so but check out the music and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Who would you like to work with?
I want to work with a lot of people. I want to work with Jay Elect.
Electronica.
You know what I'm saying? Jay Elect, what's up? I want to work with L Boogie. I want to work with Lauryn Hill. You know what I'm saying? She inspires me. I want to work with Beanie Siegel, Young Chris. You know what I mean? A whole lot of people, honestly. Just tremendous amount of people. I'm a hip hop. I'm really excited that I'm on this new album, Colors of the Culture, with Styles P. Styles P is one of my favorite MCs, you know what I'm saying? So I love the culture, I love the music, you know what I'm saying? I have so many favorite people in hip hop, you know what I mean, that I'm fans of. So, and I've worked with the people. The crazy part is the people who I really want to work with, I work with them already. You know what I'm saying? Like Talib, you know what I'm saying? Doing this project with Ninth Wonder, King Mez, you know what I'm saying? These are like heroes of mine, you know, in the game. So, but there's still so many more people, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, it'll all happen, you know what I'm saying? Definitely want to work with TDE, Cole, you know, just so many people, you know? And I'm, like I said, I'm a fan of the culture, I'm a fan of the music, I'm a fan of when MCs can kind of elevate us, you know? And take us to a higher level. Lauryn Hill is one of my favorites. Would love to work with Erykah Badu. Would love to work with Janelle Monáe. I mean, you know, just look at my playlist. That's what I want to work with. But anyway, yo, thank you, man. I appreciate
really
you, man.
Appreciate your time.
Appreciate everything.
Show everybody your book, Buck, man, so they'll know.
Buck, man. You want me to shout out anything?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Channel card or something. Hey, what's the names?
Zeb Pitts.
Zeb Pitts. MK Asante, here with my man Zeb Pitts, you know what I'm saying? Young Buck, Buck Wild, Buck Shots, Bucktown, Slave Buck, Black Buck, make Buck, Buck now, get Buck.
And don't let them box you in.
I wasn't gonna throw
that.
Nah.
And don't let them box you in.
Don't let them box you in, you know what I'm saying? Don't ever let them tell you what you can and can't do. You know what I'm saying? We out here. Yeah, Morgan State.
Peace.